If there is one thing that binds us, it's pain. And Firewatch is a game that explores this concept of pain quite perfectly. Set in Wyoming in 1989, Firewatch centers around a character, Henry, whose wife was diagnosed with early dementia, like in her 30s. That is so difficult to fathom, just experiencing that. And when I started this game, I wasn't expecting that level of depth, but it was just such a stab to the gut to even think about that. Like, I immediately became invested. Firewatch sets Henry in the woods as sort of a retreat. He becomes part of a fire watch in response to recent forest fires, and he keeps watch over the forest. It's a new job for him, but fortunately he's trained by a boss, Delilah, and that's his only point of contact throughout the entire game. He does see other people and creatures and such, but you'll be in constant communication with Delilah through a walkie-talkie.
I'm Delilah.
Yeah, that's what the guy said on the phone.
So what's wrong with you?
Excuse me?
People take this job to get away from something. So what's wrong?
What's wrong with you?
That's actually part of the major, I guess, point of engagement for the game is those conversations. Because while you're all alone out there and feel like this sense of trepidation and nervousness at what could happen next, Delilah is sort of a comfort and, there for you to talk to. She banters with you, finds out about your personal life, you find out about hers, through different means. And she'll send you on gameplay objectives like, there's a couple teenagers setting off, firecrackers in the woods, and that's obviously a forest fire, and also to investigate other scenes. But the plot also becomes interwoven with some elements of mystery, thrill, suspense, and goes into territories that are previously uncharted, such as with missing hikers. I don't want to give away too much. The game is about 3 hours, but there is quite a bit to grasp. I really like how the game handles agency, because just about every conversation you have with Delilah offers some sense of player choice. How will you respond in different situations? It might be something jovial and genial, such as advising her whether she should have a drink or not. And it might be something as, thrilling as whether she should call something into the cops.
There are panties.
There are what?
I don't want to say that word again.
Why, 'cause you're 12?
And I think that's what makes me really put myself in the character's shoes here. Not to say that I necessarily want to. I think it's like a tragic pair of shoes, but I think it's important. I think it's really important to have a game like this where the characters and the situation setting feel so real. It honestly is a journey for the player, and to help them sort of self-reflect about what is the best dialogue option. I also really like that Henry has a voice. I think that adds a level of engagement that I don't exactly have with something like Persona, where even though there's player choice, it's not like you really see the impact of the dialogue options. You may see them, but you don't really feel Joker as a person. You just feel the character's reactions. In this one, it's like you really are observing how you are cultivating Henry. The exploration itself is pretty nice. I don't fully understand the concept of sandbox gaming, but this feels like a literal sandbox. Like there are multiple points of the sandbox you can go to. And also, while most games have a navigation compass directing you where to go, this one just has a compass and a map. And so that kind of adds to the whole mystery and suspense and thrill of everything. Because, I'm just so used to being told where to go. And in this one, it really is just about finding it. You have to go out of your way to find what the objective is, where they are. And you do have things like a map. You can pull up the map. You can look at it. You can zoom in. You could put a flashlight on it. This game really makes you use your resources and find them too. And combined with things like the ambience of the hike itself, the lack of music does appear, especially when things get tense. But I think for the most part, you're really just left to listen for that walkie-talkie. And that really provides you your sense of comfort.
I don't want to make this bigger than it is yet,
Yeah, understood.
Yeah, okay. Hike safe.
There is I don't want to understate it. The relationship that you build with Delilah throughout your Firewatch stay over the course of 3 months, by the way, some days are skipped. You probably spend about 10 days or so, playing the game. But I think that it really lends the game its sense of personality and distinguishment. And I really like that. It really does make you work to understand the layout, to learn about the territories. Sometimes you'll recognize some. Sometimes you'll get frustrated. I got frustrated a couple times, but I never looked up a guide. I really felt like, oh, I can triumph over the odds, over nature. And that's empowering. I really liked it.
You're telling me. All right, I'm on my way to Wapiti Meadow. I'll let you know what I find.
Okay. There's got to be a reasonable explanation.
There are a couple bonus things I want to mention that, I think are cool. Like, you get a disposable camera reel in the game. Remember, this is set in 1989, and that's probably the most affordable option. And, it's not really used for much narrative effect, but if you remember to use it throughout the game, it can be kind of rewarding to see what trials did you overcome and what parts of the forest have you seen. Another thing I really like is that in the options at the start menu, that you can play the game with developer commentary while you play. I haven't tried it, but that's a really cool addition. There's also free roam mode if you wanted to mess with that. I personally think I got enough of the map, so I don't think I'll be playing with that. So Axel, my good buddy from Friendly Fire Gaming, asked whether I found the ending satisfying. In his words, "Teddy, you will have to let us know if Firewatch has a good ending. I've had it downloaded for years, but haven't started it. I enjoy games that deal with mystery, but some of them start strong and end bad." I really appreciate asking for my thoughts on this one, as when I first talked about Firewatch on the Button Mappers, my podcast channel, which you should definitely be subscribed to if you're not already, I hadn't finished the game at that time, and I was looking forward to seeing how it developed. I think one thing to keep in mind is that when you have a story of tragedy like Henry's, you're not exactly going to get a happy ending, but you will get a powerful one. I think this one maybe left some to be desired, but I think that's only in the ending itself. I still found that by the end of the game, some of my efforts were just naturally rewarded, like my efforts of listening and really leaning into the game. Like things that I had heard mentioned on the radio chatter now became real towards the end of the game. Again, I don't want to say too much because I'm trying to keep this spoiler free, but I think that the more that you put into the game, the more rewarding the outcomes are. Things like your culminating decisions in terms of like what's going to happen going forward. How do you perceive events? There's actually a level of ambiguity, I think, with one of the major events that happens in the game. I think depending on your worldview, you may perceive what happened differently. And that's something I think I'd like to discourse with somebody on. So, in my eyes, I found the ending satisfying in that it left me thinking. You know, I found this a very, I guess cerebral would be the right word, experience. And even when I took my little respite in between first talking about it and now, after having finished it, I still found myself thinking about it and knowing that, oh, this is a game I definitely want to put on my to-do list in terms of finishing, because I really did think a lot about it. Firewatch is a really great example of what can be done even in an indie video game market, and I'm glad it's got the accolades and reception it has. If you haven't tried it, it is on Game Pass if you own Game Pass, but it's also available on most modern consoles, including the Switch, PS4, and Xbox One, as well as PC. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed the review. Let me know what you thought if you played Firewatch and how you felt about the game. And hey, don't go starting any fires that you don't plan on putting out.